Hi, Dr. Stewart. My name is Gayla Taylor, and I'm going to be presenting to you my research on doing business in Thailand. So, a little snapshot of Thailand before we get into the business side of things. The capital city is Bangkok, and they have a population of 61 million people. The official language spoken is Thai, and it's predominantly spoken throughout Thailand. Because many areas in Thailand, like Chiang Mai and Bangkok, have such a heavy tourist presence, though, English has also become fairly prevalent and is even considered their second language. And that makes it easy for a lot of people coming over for things like business who don't speak Thai because a lot of the road signs and maps and menus and things like that are written in English. So, the main religion followed in Thailand is Buddhism, with over 94% of the population identifying as believers. And religion plays such a huge part in almost every aspect of Thailand. It's found everywhere, and it's greatly inspired much of the beautiful architecture that features the large domes found in many temples. So their economy is really impressive, and they have transitioned from a low income to a high income country in less than a generation. As you can see in the chart on the left, the GDP is continuing to increase and is predicted to grow to 540 billion US dollars this year. Their economic freedom score is 69.4, which ranks well above regional and world averages, so that's pretty impressive too. Their exports account for nearly 2/3 of the country's GDP and have a value of over $250 billion. And some of their major exports include things like computers, transistors, vehicles, machine parts, plastic, rubber, and seafoods. And their top export partners are the US, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, and Malaysia. So, exports are a very huge part of doing business in Thailand. And this whole economic improvement has caught the eye of many investors and business leaders, and that's caused an increase in businesses starting and moving to Thailand. So, communication style and workplace culture. One of the biggest aspects of their communication style and the most noticeable is their middle way, aka saving face. So this has Buddhist roots, and it basically means no emotion should be expressed to the extreme. So this affects a lot of the way that they conduct business because they tend to beat around the bush, and they try to get their point across without offending anyone listening or having too strong of an opinion, and they avoid negative topics. So it's kind of hard. Business meetings can go very long. It's kind of hard to get to a direct point because everyone's so concerned about hurting someone else's feelings. So, business meetings often begin and end with small talk, and many employers want their employees to become extremely familiar and comfortable with clients before pursuing any sales. So, this is that emphasis on relationship building, and it's a big part of the way they conduct business. They also have a high respect for hierarchy, and beyond business, that goes for the entire culture of Thailand in general when it comes to family, hierarchy, government, anything like that. But when it comes to business, the way the hierarchy in the business falls is very important. They have a lot of respect for their bosses, and though they will go to extensive means to keep their bosses from having to lose face. So they don't want to upset their bosses, and they try to please them. They tend to do whatever their boss asks of them, and this has recently resulted in an increased workload, and lots of bosses are just kind of piling on work because they say yes so much because of that respect for the hierarchy. But overall, they have a pretty relaxed, very respectful workplace culture. So, one very important thing to know how to do when it comes to meeting and greeting is the why. So, instead of shaking hands, which is probably good during this coronavirus time, maybe we should adopt this. Instead of shaking hands, they do a Y. So they place their palms together in front of the chest. You bring your hands to touch the middle of your chest, and then you slightly bow your head to your index fingers. So you don't have to bend super low, but women typically bend their knees and men only slightly bend their heads. And for people that you really have respect for or who are elders, you tend to bend lower. But if it's someone kind of on your level, a friend or business partner, you kind of just do the slight head nod and don't have to bend all the way down. So, for business etiquette, gift giving, especially in the workplace, is a lot more common in Thailand. And gifts are presented mainly upon the first meeting with someone, and they shouldn't be too extravagant, but more of a thoughtful token of appreciation. And it's also important to remember that instead of being opened immediately, it's custom to wait to open gifts in private. So, you don't want to just get the gift and start opening it right then. Next, Thai business attire is extremely similar to Western formal business attire. So basically, the same exact things that we wear here. Men and women both wear, dress pants. Can wear dress pants or skirts, and then tops, ties, appropriate footwear. Same thing we wear here. It should just be taken into extra consideration for women not to wear anything too revealing because they are a little bit more sensitive to that there. It's also very common to exchange business cards like it is here, and they should be presented with the right hand, and if it's in English, one side should be translated into Thai. Because they are such a religious-based culture, they have a lot of social and cultural taboos, and some of the top ones I'm going to tell you about right now. So, number one, never touch someone's head. The head is considered the highest and most sacred part of the body, and it's extremely disrespectful to touch someone else's head or even pass something over someone's head. The feet are considered the dirtiest and most lowly part of the body, and effort should be taken not to stand or lie with your feet pointing towards someone or an image of Buddha. And it's very, very disrespectful to talk about the royal family in a negative manner. So, not only is this offensive, but it's also illegal. And political conversations are usually just avoided altogether in public. Lastly, for females, physical contact with monks should be completely avoided because when they're ordained, monks take vows that forbid physical contact with women, and that even includes sitting by them and being handed objects by them. So kind of just avoid that altogether too. Lastly, I wanted to talk about travel because it tends to be very, very different from what we're used to in the US, especially here in the South where everyone has their own car and that's how they get places. But Bangkok is one of the top international air travel hubs, and it's popular for its international flight connections to many destinations from its 2 international airports. So domestic air travel is common, and ticket prices are even comparable to train or bus fares. The train system and interprovincial buses are reliable options, but they tend to be slow and outdated. So another option is the minibuses, songathus, taxis, motorbikes, and tuk-tuks, which are a lot faster, and they're everywhere, but they also tend to be dangerous. A lot of theft and violence is related to these options, but they're very prevalent, and not all of them are dangerous at all. You just kind of have to be aware of your surroundings and what you're getting into. Lastly, ferries and longtails are used to reach islands, and the longtails are used for more remote and further away islands. So that sums it up, and I hope that you were able to learn something interesting and get a better understanding of Thai culture. I enjoyed this project so much, and thank you for listening.